Hello everyone, welcome back to a World of Warship Blitz video. This video is a stats review on the Tier 7 premium Russian battleship, the Poltava. So this is a ship that's arrived recently. Looks like they are rounding out some of the lines. So let's go have a look and we'll do a comparative stats review with the other premium Tier 7 battleships. So let us get straight into it, and we will go for survivability. Hit points is 45,800, so nearly 46,000. Citadel protection 12.5%, 17.5% flooding and fire resistance, 13.5% damage reduction, 14.31, and I think that is the so probably originally 14.5, but 14.31% torpedo damage reduction thanks to historical camo, and maximum speed 28 knots. Time to full speed nearly 30 seconds, so 29 seconds, but I'll remember it better if I remember 30. 4.4 max traverse speed, I don't think I'm going to forget that because that's pretty low. And 11 seconds turn time, so almost the same as the Italian cruisers. So let's go compare it with, well, it's pretty fast, pretty long. Let's go compare it with the Scharnhorst. So it comes in with way more hit points than the Scharnhorst at 45,807 opposed to 41,000. So they're doing the rough maths in my head. It's nearly 46,000. This is close to 45.5, 41.5. So it's about 3.5 or 2,500 hit points. Oh, I'm just not good at maths today. So 4,500 hit points shy of the Poltava. However, the Scharnhorst comes with much better citadel protection at 16.5%. That's 4 points up. Flooding and fire resistance is 5 points worse, so this will burn, and German battleships seem to burn quite a lot. A massive damage reduction of 15.75, which is way better than the 13.5 of the Poltava, and torpedo damage reduction 13.5. If I remember, the Poltava is roughly, it's a bit shy of the Poltava's 14.5 base, I'd say. So Duke of, and the Scharnhorst, 30 knots, so same sort of speed. 27 seconds to get there, which is still pretty slow, but 2 seconds faster. The traverse speed, I have this one kitted out with traverse kits. Let's just go check out the Poltava. Yeah, so fully kitted out with traverse kits, this turns at 5.8 degrees per second and has that same 11-second turn time. So it's that same time to get into the turn, but much quicker. That's 1.4 degrees seconds faster once it's in the turn. Duke of York. So the Duke of York was a ship that I did not enjoy the first time around, I've got to say, and I like British ships for the most part, but let's go. 44.6. So 45.8, 44.6, so basically 1,000 hit points shy, 12.5%, same citadel protection, 1 point shy on the flooding and fire resistance. Damage reduction, oh no, it's 5 points shy, that's right. The Poltava is pretty resistant to flooding and fire compared to this. This is 5 points worse off. Same damage reduction, and 2 points, 1.5 points less on the torpedo damage reduction. Maximum speed is 27, nearly 28 knots, which is 2 knots, or just over 2 knots less than the Poltava. 24 seconds, that's much better in the acceleration. 24 as opposed to 29 seconds. 5.3 degrees per second, so this makes it second so far to the Scharnhorst, but way better than the Poltava by 0.9 degrees per second, and 11, nearly 12 seconds turn time. So, yeah, the Poltava is tough, but not maneuverable. The hood breaks all records, 49,200, which for the 45,800 is roughly 3,500 points ahead. Of course, it pays for it. Citadel protection of 10% rather than a 12.5%. Flooding and fire resistance is still 5 points less than the Poltava at 12.5. Damage reduction is 1.5 points less than the Poltava. Man, it needs those hit points. And torpedo damage reduction is pretty similar. It's 0.32 percentage points less than the Poltava. Maximum speed, 30 knots, same as the Poltava. Way better acceleration at 22 seconds as opposed to 28 seconds or 29 seconds. And traverse speed is much better, 5.2 versus 4.4. So that's 0.8 of a degree per second faster, and it's 1 second faster into the turn. Much more agile. Now the Nelson is a premium that you buy with free XP, so it's not really a purchase choice, so I'm going to skip that. Apart from to say that, well actually, apart from flooding and fire resistance, it's fairly comparable. Much slower speed, slightly better manoeuvrability. Right, Ashitaka. 46,166 as opposed to 46,807, so this is 500-ish points less. Very nice, neat damage reduction here. 12.5% citadel protection is the same. Flooding and fire resistance is 1 point less. Damage reduction is 13.5, which is the same. Torpedo damage reduction is nearly 16%, which is roughly 1.5% better, points better. Maximum speed 28 knots as opposed to 30. 28 seconds to get there, so still as slow as the Poltava. Maximum traverse speed, not great, 4.7 degrees per second, but still better than Poltava. Turn time 12 seconds, which is 1 second worse than the Poltava, or Poltava's 11 point something, so comparable. The Mutsu, which is a Nagato clone, which has comparable hit points, maybe about 800 points shy. It has the same citadel protection, 5 points worse on flooding and fire resistance, the same damage reduction, and torpedo damage reduction is significantly better, 5 points up, roughly. Maximum speed 24 knots, which is nowhere near the Poltava. 24 seconds is much faster acceleration, 5 degrees per second in the turn, which is 0.6 of a degree per second faster than the Poltava, and 10 seconds turn time, so you'll be feeling much more manoeuvrable in this ship. Now the Ice is also a tier 7 battleship, but I'll skip its comparison in any sort of detail, apart from to say its torpedo damage reduction looks pretty good. Otherwise it looks fairly similar to Nagato, with slightly worse damage protection, but the Ice is a ship that you really buy if you want a battleship mixed with planes. It is not a direct comparison. The West Virginia, hit points 45,600, so about 150 hit points less, which is basically the same as far as that's concerned. The same citadel protection, the same flooding and fire resistance, so this has the best flooding and fire resistance along with the Poltava. This has better damage reduction by 1.5 points at 15%, and the torpedo damage reduction at 25.44 is, well, it's 11 points better. So by far the tankiest tier 7 battleship of the premium variety is the West Virginia. Maximum speed is 20 knots, which is the slowest by far. Time to full speed 27 seconds. Maximum traverse speed 4.8 degrees per second, which is pretty slow. And the turn time is 10 seconds, so it's not very manoeuvrable, but it's quite tanky and it's not very fast. The best performer, I think, from a manoeuvrability perspective, is the Scharnhorst, which surprises me. And it doesn't have bad damage reduction stats either, well, not shocking ones. Yeah, so those, so the Poltava, the best way of describing the Poltava is that it's fast eventually. Oh, I've overstated its speed. I've been assuming it's 30 knots. It's actually 28. So it really does match the Ashitaka, and the Scharnhorst actually beats it. So the Scharnhorst is by far the fastest. So it's comparable with the Duke of York. So my apologies, everybody. And the hood outraces it. So the Poltava is in the fast end, but not the fastest. It's definitely the least agile by a long way, and it's fairly tanky, but it's not as good as the West Virginia. So it's sort of second tier of tankiness. Okay, guns. Russian guns. Let's go. Let's have a quick look at the secondaries, and we'll try and do those at the same time as we run through. So it has 8 times 2, which is 16. 6-second reload, 6.4 kilometre range, and 380 damage, and a 3% fire chance. So those aren't bad secondaries. But let's have a look at the main guns. These are 356mm, which is either 14 or 15 inch. I would assume that would be closer to 14 inch. An inch being 26mm, I think 26.2 or something. So I'm going to quickly, essentially 25mm to an inch, which means that, and 12 inches is 300mm roughly, give or take. So 14 or 15 inch guns. I really should look this up before I start the video, but everything's measured in millimeters, so we'll go through and measure in millimeters. 18.43 seconds reload time, 13.78 kilometers, which looks reasonable. Main battery damage 1000, 1012, 12% fire chance, which is nice. nearly 1600 worth of AP damage, and 5.78 seconds turret traverse. How much of that am I going to actually remember? Not a lot, but anyway, let's go. So this has got 283, which I'm pretty sure is 11 inch. So it's got way fewer, way smaller caliber. It makes up for it. Instead of the 18.5 second reload, it's got 16.5 second reload. Its range is 12. It's 1 kilometre less at 12.75. Significantly less HE damage. That's about 310, 320 less. 4 points less chance of setting a fire, but you don't get German battleships for the HE. For the AP, it's 1100 damage as opposed to the AP damage on this, which is essentially 1600. 6 degrees per second, which is better than the 5.78. So these guns are significantly weaker. So for all that manoeuvrability and speed and everything else that you get, you do get torpedoes with the ship. Yeah. It has 4 times 2 and 4 times 1, which is 12 secondaries. They have an 8.2 rather than a 6-second reload. This has a piece of equipment which of course extends the range, but still 7.83, even with 10%, if we took 10% off that, that's still it's over 7 kilometre range. 575 damage, which is their AP damage, so rather than 380. Yeah, so these doesn't have any fire chance, so better secondaries, but they are AP secondaries. Essentially, they're 6-inch guns. So the Poltava is obviously coming out on top for power, but the Scharnhorst is a ship that just doesn't have secondaries. It has auto secondaries. Good luck getting damage out of those, but torpedoes definitely. Well, I've got to say, I've been playing the Tirpitz a lot recently, and the torpedoes are actually a pain because they are so infrequently used, and you have to basically cycle through them as you're changing between primary guns and secondaries. I wish they had a second switch that you could use to toggle into the torpedoes rather than having to cycle through them every time. So I wouldn't actually treat that as an advantage, but some people love it. Duke of York, this has a 386mm guns, and I remember the guns on this being underpowered. So if the Poltava has the same, it's not going to be fun. Okay, reload time 20 seconds as opposed to 18 seconds, so slow reload. It's got 10 of them rather than 9. 13.21 kilometres, which is 0.55 kilometres less This does slightly more HE damage at 110 versus, 1,100 versus just basically 1,000. 2 points better fire chance, but you pay for an AP damage, which is, so it's nearly 1,600 on the Poltava, it's nearly 1,400 on the Duke of York. 6 degrees per second traverse, which is faster than the Poltava. Reload time for the secondaries, it's got 16 of them, same as Poltava, 7 seconds. Reload time, 5.74 kilometres, I think it's 6.41 on the Poltava. Worse damage, worse fire chance. So really, the guns on the Poltava are a little bit better than this. This has a slightly better turret traverse and does slightly better on the HE front, but it's not really super HE capable. The hood, let's go have a look. This has only 8 guns. They are 381mm, which are 15-inch. I do remember that, so 3.56 is 14 or 13 and a half then, maybe. 21 seconds reload, 3 seconds slower. You've got 8 guns, same range, 13.75, and I remember the hood, when I played it, the range on the guns was very nice. So Poltava will have nice range. This does slightly better HE damage, basically 150 points better, 1% better fire chance, pretty much the same AP damage. So the Poltava, with its more guns and a faster reload, is actually a better deal. Okay, it doesn't get quite the same speed, of course, but hey. Okay, secondaries, 14 of them at 7-second reload, 5.4 kilometre, really short range, very low damage and very low fire chance. Right, and the turret traverse is pretty standard, 6 degrees per second. The Nelson is just basically a fire starter at 19%. If you ever fire AP, it's because you're bored, or, well, there are specialist times when you may fire AP, but generally, yeah, I can't remember the last time I fired AP. It would have been a few weeks ago. Right, okay. Ashitaka has 10 guns as opposed to 9. 22-second reload. They are 410mm, 16-inch, so these are high-powered guns. These are the Amagi guns. The longest range, interestingly enough, and the highest HE damage at 1150, 13% fire chance, which is near the Ashitaka. I've gone and forgotten. I think it's 12 points for the Ashitaka. Not the Ashitaka, for the Poltava. The chance of causing fire is 12%. So the Ashitaka has a slightly better fire chance. AP damage is higher, which is what you'd expect with 16-inch, so 1800 versus 1600, 6 degrees per second. It's even got faster turrets than the Poltava. It has secondaries. It has 16 of them in casements. Good luck. 7.5 second reload, which is slower. 6.08 kilometre range, which is about 0.3 less than the Poltava, so that's not too bad. Same secondary damage at 391 versus 380, and 1% better fire chance. So this has good secondaries for setting fires. It's just a Japanese battleship, you just don't want to get too close. Right, another Japanese battleship where you don't want to get too close. This has torpedoes, remember that, although I'm not going to compare the torpedoes with the Poltava, which doesn't have any. It has 16-inch guns. It has 8 of them as opposed to 10. Reload time 20 seconds, so 2 seconds slower. 14.59 kilometre range, which is less than the Poltava. That's interesting. Roughly equivalent HE damage, or 50 points better. 1 point better fire chance, and 200 better, or just 220, 230 better AP damage. It has a much faster traverse speed at 6.4 degrees per second. Yeah, so the secondary guns are, it has 20 of them, 7.5 seconds reload, 6.08 kilometre range, and 391 damage with 4% fire chance. So those are pretty good secondaries. I'd have to say that between the Ashitaka and the Mutsu, they probably have the best secondaries for HE. Obviously the best secondaries of all come on the Scharnhorst. So, okay then, this is interesting. Oh, and I was going to say it's got no secondary guns, but it's got no main guns because we're looking at secondaries. It's got 8 guns, and they are 406 millimeters, so they're 16-inch again. 21 second reload, which is 3 seconds slower. 14.9, so same as the Mutsu, but that is 0.65 of a kilometre less than the Poltava. Pretty standard 1000 HE damage, which seems a bit low. Well, yeah, okay then. Which is maybe 80 points better than the Poltava. 1% better fire chance, but it's the AP, which nearly 1800, is in the same sort of ballpark as those two Japanese ships. 6 degree per second turret traverse. It has 16 secondaries, and these are comparable in a lot of ways with a 6 second reload, 5.74 kilometre range, and 306, sort of comparable fire chance and HE damage. So, the biggest hitters by far are the Ashitaka or the Mutsu with those massive guns. Best secondaries by far, the Hood has fantastic range. So the Poltava has the best range, only matched by the Hood. Obviously, the prize for secondaries would go to the Poltava for HE secondaries, but overall the Scharnhorst. Right, AA. It has a surface detection range of essentially 10 kilometres. If anything's significantly higher or lower than that, we'll note it, but otherwise, 221 AA, large AA, and 117 small AA. Let's go compare it with the top of the range. Okay, so it's a bit less than, it's a lot less on the small caliber AA than the West Virginia. It's getting close to the large caliber AA. Let's go compare it with the Japanese, which have sort of, it's got better AA than the Mutsu, better AA than the Ashitaka, so it has reasonable AA. The Hood should have extremely good AA. The Hood does have much worse large AA, but better small AA, because the Hood has an AA consumable, that's why. I think the Hood had some sort of special arrangement in the Second World War, from an AA perspective. Duke of York, much better AA. It's quite a modern ship, I think. Slightly bit less large caliber AA, but much better small caliber AA. The Scharnhorst is all the way down the bottom. Pretty much worse AA across the board, but only by a little bit. So there is the Poltava's stats compared against the other battleships. It is medium fast. It is the least agile. It is near the top tier of tankiness, but nowhere near the West Virginia. Its guns are good long-range guns with good fast reload and sort of medium of middle of the range damage, so nothing near those the American or Japanese battleships when it comes to the AA damage. Let us go and have a look at some other factors. The historical camo is exactly the standard historical camo. Improving hit points, main battery firing range, improving shell dispersion and torpedo damage reduction. I'm not sure which theatre of war this camo is for, because it looks very sort of deserty, but I don't know details like that. So anyway, it has precise aiming system 2. It has 2 of them. Increases gun accuracy by 35% for 20 seconds, which that 18-second reload is really going to be helpful, because base, as long as you're quick and you don't muck around when it reloads, you can get 2 shots off with precise aiming 2. And if you get the captain skill to increase that by another 25%, you get a little bit of fiddling around after the second shot reloads. So basically you ping the improved accuracy, you line up on the target, ping improved accuracy, fire, and then as long as you fire at the other end relatively quickly, you should get 2 shots out. That's pretty nice, because there are a lot of ships out there where that wouldn't occur. Anything else of note? The battle honours are pretty standard. You get some sort of mediocre cool stuff if you win 10 battles. You get some steel, which is pretty standard if you win, if you achieve killing 2 enemy battleships in a battle, which shouldn't hopefully be too hard. It's got some missions. Oh, okay then, it's just telling me the guide. I thought it might be something special and new. There you go. So, haven't really explored the 3.3 update. So there is the Poltava A stats review. The battle will be in a separate video. I hope you found that educational. And that's given me a guide on how I'm supposed to play this. I'll play it basically like a Russian cruiser. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.